Holy smokes. Guys, do you have any idea what I just saw? I just saw Mark Zuckerberg go full MAGA. All right. Now, Zuckerberg posted this video on his Instagram, and I have no question about it that this is going to be one of his most impactful videos that he has ever shared of all time. We've talked a lot about this recently. Right, we talked a lot about big tech changing. We've talked a lot about CEOs kind of repositioning themselves, but this is something bigger, right? There's a large cultural shift being had right now. I really think that culture has made a 180. Okay, and I think that happened on November 5th. So to see kind of big tech and other CEOs begin to reflect that, I think this is good, especially because in the video that I made earlier today, I talked about how the 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 scale of social justice online that has been in the hands of CEOs has been dialed to the left, silencing so many conservative voices and people on the right. And we're seeing a shift happen. We're seeing this happen in culture, and now it's being had online on the digital front. So I know what you think about Mark Zuckerberg. So many people will say it in the comments, like, I don't trust this guy, and I hear you. But if you could give him 5 minutes of your time, I don't think I promise you it'll be worth it. Okay. I think there are people in our lives who could really push humanity forward. And if you ask me, coming from my sappy little brain, I think Zuckerberg is one of those people. So check this out. Mark Zuckerberg today.
I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon. Hey, everyone.
Wow. There's a lot here. Okay. And I got to be honest, most of it sounds pretty good to me, but this isn't about me. Okay. What I want to go into is some perspectives that I've been seeing online, what I feel from Mark Zuckerberg in a general, and kind of the future of what's coming. Okay, so let's go with the comments here on Instagram. Just right under this post, a couple people that we know. Michaela Peterson just says "yay" and a couple exclamation points, over 1,000 likes. Taylor Lorenz, obviously one of the journalists from the Washington Post, she says she's asking about misinformation, which is fair. Good question, right? Benny Johnson out here saying this might be the most important video ever posted on a Meta platform. Legitimately brave. Thank you, Mark. This is huge. Huberman, right? Andrew Huberman, the guy with the podcast, the guy who's ripped, has been on Rogan a bunch of times. He said, great move. Okay. So this is really, really interesting stuff. Over here on X, where this video has also gone mega viral, we have Cigar, right, from Breaking Points. He wrote, here is the full video from Mark Zuckerberg announcing the end of censorship and misinformation policies. He's asking his audience to, I highly recommend all of you to watch it, as tonally, it is one of the biggest indications of elections have consequences I have ever seen. All right. And one of the top comments says, Zuck only knows which way the wind is blowing. He was happy to do the bidding of the security state for the last 10 years, and now Musk has stolen his audience. Right. Another top comment says, I still think one of the most interesting dynamics to watch in the next 4 years will be the interplay between the end of censorship policies that traced progressive preferences and the rise of ideological fealty to Trump specifically. Okay. Right. A lot of this is developing and it is interesting, but something that I like personally. All right. One of the things that really stuck out to me was the fact that he wants to remove some of his teams from California and move them to Texas. All right. So that's probably one of my favorite things that he has said, because again, California is a different breed. It's a different lifestyle. The culture is different. And I think when you have an entire culture based in California and all of the team is there, we create the same problem that Washington D.C. has, right? Where the people in charge and they're the people in charge of creating culture that's impacting hundreds of millions of lives, they live in a completely different headspace. Their psychology is different, their lifestyle is different, their world view is different, and it's not reflective of the entire audience that this builder is reaching. And it's crazy. Oh, this is another perspective that I wanted to share because obviously he was talking about moderation and people are, comparing him to Elon Musk, right? Mark Zuckerberg copying all of Elon Musk into his system. And honestly, I'm okay with this. Why? Because if you have a good idea, if an idea pushes humanity forward, if an idea is good, well, why shouldn't everyone implement it? But this is the same reason why, and Elon Musk doesn't care. Are you kidding me? So much of Elon Musk's tech is open source because he's not motivated by money. He's motivated by pushing humanity forward. And there seems to be an alignment happening right now where Mark Zuckerberg is feeling the same way. And if you ask, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, I still don't trust him. Look at what he's done." Guys, I think he's a different person. Why? And I know this is kind of controversial, but this is my opinion. And you can let me know yours in the comments. But the reason I think this is big, because we've seen Zuckerberg do a complete 180, a complete shift. I don't believe he's the same person who's even in this picture right here. But look at this. Business Insider reported, look out, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg is now a blue belt in jujitsu. And upon further research, it turns out he has a black belt now, and he actually has multiple of them. So that is absolutely wild. But some people online, as well as me, are believing that this happened because of jujitsu. Okay, Francis says jujitsu did this. The sport had a bigger positive change on Zuck than having $100 billion. Let that sink in. The guy started using his body, meeting normal people. He got fit. He gained self confidence and entirely changed his life outlook. This is so if you're telling me about something that happened 10 years ago, right, when Mark how old is Mark? Let me look up how old Mark Zuckerberg is real quick. All right. Mark Zuckerberg is 40 years old. All right. So if you're trying to tell me something that Mark Zuckerberg did when he was 25 or 30, like you're a decade late. Okay. I'm not looking in the rearview mirror. I'm looking through the windshield. Okay. That's kind of my perspective right now. And someone EJ commented on this too. He said that and the power of a gym bro masculinity. Zuck's entire worldview changed once he started consistently lifting and training. He became a man. And I can't stress this enough. I think that's why this Mark Zuckerberg exists. Okay, I really think we saw a shift, and I think that now that's why he's kind of sticking it to the man. Maybe that's why he bent over to the Biden administration, right? Maybe that's why he accepted the censorship and he accepted what the FBI was telling him, and he just did what he was told. Okay, but I do think this is a different season for Zuckerberg. I don't know if he's the same person he was. He's definitely not the same person he was back back at his Harvard dorm room, and I don't think he's the same person that he was just a couple handful of years ago. Okay, and so whenever he talks about censorship, whenever he talks about the future of Meta, whenever he talks about being pro free speech, honestly, I believe him. Okay, especially now that we just talked about the rise of X's platform and it being so politically balanced. And I think Mark knows this. And I think with the advice or with the with the advice of a Dana White now being on his board, I really think Zuckerberg is going to be making some big, large shifts happening at Meta. And I don't think anybody should be surprised. We're seeing the cultural shifts being made in our day to day lives. Okay, I'm seeing people out and about wearing MAGA hats. That's crazy. Where I live, that's insane. But we're seeing culture shift. And I believe that's happened over this past campaign season, and it especially became a little bit more permanent on November 5th. And I think we're going to see it again happening on January 20th, and then for the next 4 years. Okay, and I really think that Mark Zuckerberg has a lot to do with this. So yeah, I'm still kind of developing my thoughts here, but this is this is good. This is good. I'll go ahead and share this too. This is another perspective that I saw from Libs of TikTok. They wrote, "This is just incredible. Brian Stelter is attacking Elon and Zuckerberg for committing to free speech. He says Zuckerberg's announcement is a MAGA makeover and will turn away liberals." They continue and write, "For years, conservatives were censored and silenced by big tech. Democrats can't stand that we're not being censored anymore. They can't operate in a free speech environment because their views don't hold up to scrutiny." This is the same argument as to why Kamala Harris didn't go on Joe Rogan, right? Because in a long form conversation, your argument will begin to fall apart. Okay, but let's check this out. This is CNN.
It gets to this broader sense that when people like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg talk about free speech, everybody wants free speech, but it oftentimes seems that these tech CEOs actually are favoring or preferring a certain kind of speech, right? They're favoring their own speech or their own political preferences and not the actual entire user or the community's speech. You know, the changes announced by Meta today are very much a MAGA makeover, a pro-Trump makeover, and that's going to win Meta some conservative users, but it may repel some liberals. That's the same thing we've seen happen on Elon Musk's X. He's turned it into more of a right-wing platform where he's pro-free speech when it's really pro-Musk or pro-Trump speech.
All right, Brian Stelter, thanks as always. And you mentioned those changes over at Meta. That is going to be fascinating to watch moving forward because obviously Facebook and Instagram, places like that, have also been accused of being super spreaders of disinformation, misinformation. We'll keep our eyes on that.
It gets to this broader sense that when people...
All right, well, what do you think? Do you think that's real? Do you think it's going to be a MAGA makeover? Do you think that it's going to repel liberals? People were saying the same exact thing about X. And I don't know if you guys saw my video from today. Look at me wearing the same exact clothes, of course. But I brought up this article from, I brought up this clip from CNN. And look at this: party ID among those who regularly use X. And in 2020, it was a Democrat-dominated space with 65%. Okay, and you're telling me that Republicans weren't being censored? They were. This was real. This was so many people's realities, and accounts like this one, they were the people who were suffering for it. And so many other right-leaning accounts, they were experiencing a massive censorship, and it was a really big problem. They became echo chambers. We can't have that. That's not free speech. So this guy, that anchor on CNN, talking about how it's just uplifting one speech, like, you didn't seem to have any problem with it when your party was when your party was controlling it, when your party was dominating it, when your party was entirely responsible for the 65% of the market share of the political space on X. That's crazy. But now, on 2024, people don't want that. People don't want to drink that juice. People want a fair and honest space. It's not the scales aren't balanced on Meta. They're not balanced on Instagram or Facebook. But maybe now they will be. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Now, you can tell me what you think about Mark Zuckerberg. You can tell me what you think about if you think he's actually having a change of heart, or if he's just trying to buy some favor in Trump's new administration. I'd love to hear it. Okay, I'm still doing. I'm learning myself. Okay, I'm not an expert over here. I'm just a guy. I'm a student over here as well. Okay, so please let me know what you think about all this. I'll go ahead and be in the comment section later, and yeah. Let's go ahead and keep the conversation going over there. But one more time, let me know what you think about Mark Zuckerberg and what he's trying to do with X? What he's trying to do with Facebook and Instagram and Meta as a platform? And do you think this is good? All right, everybody. Oh, do you think this is a MAGA makeover? Do you think he's going full MAGA? I don't know. But I'd love to know what you guys think. All right, everybody. I will see you all next time. I hope you have a great and a wonderful day. Have a good one. Episode's over already? Geez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.